Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CDL podcast channel. In this episode today, we have maybe the most packed episode we've had in a while. We're doing Wordle. We're talking about the major. We got predictions to make that I almost forgot about because I'm so used to having a week off between the majors. And we've got a new little draft segment we're going to do. We're going to do the compare at the end, all kinds of stuff. If you guys enjoy this one, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. If you're on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop a 5-star review. Brock, Brad, we're getting into the Wordle. Brock, as always, kick us off with a guest.
Let's do it. Let's go with a winner of this past weekend. Let's go with Envoy.
I know you were asking this before we started. I wonder if they updated from this past weekend. I can't remember if Envoy had 7 chips before this weekend or not, but I wonder how quickly he updates it. I guess Ghosty we could figure out because he would be 0 or 1. So the player is older with less wins, no rings, hasn't played for any of Envoy's teams, and he is United States.
Oh boy, that really narrows it down.
Slacked right away, Brock.
Slacked.
Yeah, let's guess it. Slacked.
Ooh, he does it.
Okay, wait, hang on.
Florida, 0 rings.
No rings. Older than 27. Played for Florida. Teammates with Slacked. Who else was with Slacked on Florida?
This is old.
I'm trying to think of like the Seattle players, like Apathy. Well, Apathy has rings. Octane has rings. Karma was on the team. He has rings. He's Canadian. Who else was on the Florida team that was old? Havoc?
Is he that old though?
I don't think Havoc's older than 27 though.
I thought Havoc was. Isn't he?
Should I guess him?
Let's guess Havoc.
I don't know if he's older than 27. I don't think so.
I thought he was
He's exactly 27.
Oh.
Okay, but he has less than 3 wins.
Pander?
He was also
Pander on the team?
I don't think Pander was ever on that team. He was just on Seattle, but he was teammates with Havoc also, so it had to be in that group. It's obviously not like Sky's Wake.
What's his name?
Pharaoh.
Like how long ago are we talking here?
You got our ex? Did you ever?
Florida. I mean, Slacked was on Florida in what, Cold War? That's how long it is, Brad. That was when, and he has to be his CDL teammate, and Slacked was only in the CDL literally until Cold War. Who else was on that team? What'd you say? Got our ex? I don't think he was ever on Florida. This guy was teammates with Havoc and Slack. Oh, could it be like
Was it?
I
was thinking maybe Fellow. It wasn't.
I don't think Fellow was ever teammates with Slacked in the CDL era, though. I think it might be Mox. It's not Mox. He was also teammates with Mox, though, and he has no wins. And Mox is also 20. Everybody's 27, bro.
Oh my god. It's not Major Maniac, bro.
No, he played for Minnesota. Who else is this? This has to be a. If he was teammates with Mox,
is it like a sub?
It has to be like a MW19 player. Like,
was Theory ever a sub?
Was like
no.
Pharaoh?
No, Pharaoh has more than 1 win also. Shoot, who else was on that MW19? Prestinni has ring. Somebody with no wins that like, yeah, could it be like a coach? Dude, is like Ricky Atura in here? Coach?
He might be in there. Is he?
Well, there has been a coach.
He is. I'm guessing him. Oh my god. Yeah, that could have taken us forever. Is Ricky Atura? So I bet you there's a lot of people that didn't get that. Give up percentage 61%. Today's average scored 9.5 guesses. Yeah. I mean that's like kind of honestly, I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of a dumb one because he like literally was never even a player.
Yeah, he just coached.
He was like strictly a coach.
Didn't even know who that was.
Yeah, I mean he was a coach for like a few years. He never really even like played like notably at the pro level. So it's kind of a dumb one to be honest. Like
that would have been,
yeah, that you could have guessed that one forever.
Yeah.
All right, let's just jump into the major this weekend. I mean, I would say not like a completely shocking result. LAT winning is probably like the most expected result, along with like maybe FaZe winning. I'd say it's top 2 most expected results.
Yeah.
But kind of an interesting way to get there because I mean we picked Vancouver to take off FaZe. Obviously, our bracket ended up being a little shocked because we picked it, and then obviously the news came out about Beans,
yeah, unfortunate,
not being able to play, so that kind of changed things. I'm sure we probably would have changed our pick to Miami, with that hindsight. But then Ultra ended up making it further than Miami, anyways. They ended up beating them. to make it to top 3. And Ultra went on a crazy losers bracket run with Merc, and we'll talk about Merc a little bit later and how insane of a weekend it was for him. But I mean, I guess overall thoughts on the major LAT. They have a tough path in order to get into finals. They have to reverse sweep the Vancouver Surge to get in there, and then once they get into finals, it's a 4-0. But I guess like either one of you, Brock, maybe you can go first. Just like most notable thing from the weekend. I mean, obviously, I think the big one is Phase getting knocked out. Top 6 is kind of wild. Obviously, not expected. We thought it might be coming just because like eventually,
Mhm.
they had to do some kind of thing where they fail because it always seems to happen. Even if you're like elite, you always have like one tournament where you bottom out. And for Phase, it was this one. They 3-0'd Cloud9, 3-0'd OpTic down in losers, and then all of a sudden they got beat in a game 5 against Miami of all teams.
Yeah. I mean, I does say, FaZe, we didn't really expect Miami to beat them, but now we know Miami can hang with FaZe. Maybe not so much Thieves to this point. And I would just notable was like Thieves, they went down 2-0 in the winners finals against
Yeah.
Surge and they reverse swept them, which has a lot of momentum right there. And then Surge just kind of crumbled. Granted, they won the match to get back to the finals, but kind of crumbled again against Thieves
Yeah,
in the
and
finals.
it's of note to say too that like Thieves in the past, like on land, like we know that all these players are champions and can win, but like so far this year on land, they haven't shown that resolve. Like
Yeah.
they've crumbled on land multiple times. So to see them, bounce back, um, Scrap was kind of willing him like crazy. He was 25-17 in that map 3 in the winners finals, and he had a really 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 big map 5, and they were down. They were down as 4-4 all of a sudden, and they win 2 straight, or up 4-2, sorry. And then, Vancouver pushes them to the brink, wins 2 straight, and they close it out. Um,
Hmm.
and just a really big win for the side of Thieves to kind of like show that composure because I don't know, maybe they still win the tournament if they fall down into losers and, maybe take out Ultra, get back. Maybe they still beat Surge, but a lot more momentum, going into finals, like you mentioned. When you had to go through losers, like you maybe have some momentum if you win that losers finals match and you're kind of coming in hot. But a lot more momentum when you're sitting there after a big reverse sweep, like huge momentum. It's like, okay, backs against the wall, like we could crumble. We pull off a reverse sweep, and it's like, okay, we're unstoppable now.
Yeah. And also that game 5, I'm pretty sure Envoy had a 1v2 to make it 4-2 instead of 3-3
Yeah, it was
tied.
huge clutch. Yeah.
Yeah. Envoy's going crazy all weekend, like clutch and stuff like that.
Which is crazy also because in that map 5, he was 4-8.
Yeah.
So it's like sometimes like this is like it's a perfect example of KD isn't everything because like 4-8 overall, you look at it on paper, not the best map, and obviously overall not the best map, but 2 of his kills ended up being some of the most impactful kills
Hmm.
of the entire match. Like a 1v2 to clutch and put yourself up 4-2 like that. 4-8, obviously, like overall not the greatest game, but when 2 of those kills are a 1v2 clutch to give yourself a 4-2 lead rather than 3-3, like you mentioned, like it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. And then
Brad, what are you gonna say?
one more. I'm pretty sure if Surge would have not got reverse swept and won it, and I'm pretty sure that they're not getting forward on in the finals and have a lot more momentum going for them.
Yeah, I would. I would
It's
agree.
just
We'll
game.
never know, but I would agree that's probably true.
Yeah.
Brad, biggest
Yeah.
takeaway from the weekend?
I mean, honestly, I I was gonna talk about the whole Vancouver collapse reverse sweep. Like I was locked in on that series, and oh, dude, it's just if you looked at them and they were just in pain. Like
Yeah,
yeah, they had no, I don't know, willpower left. I guess I don't know. It just feels like all the vibes and like the confidence and all that was just taken right out right there.
I mean,
Um,
yeah, it's one thing to win a winners final, but when you get reverse swept, it's like, I mean, it's got to be pretty demoralizing thing to have happen. Like
yeah,
when you get
Hmm.
reverse swept out of that, like because you're at that point, you're up 2-0, and like you can literally see the finals from winners.
Yeah.
Like you can see the finals. You have the veto advantage. You have all the momentum, and just like to get reverse swept, and then like you have to go back and play that team again. Granted, like Brock mentioned, like a big bounce back from them to
mhm,
still end up winning that. I mean, because that Ultra team had all the momentum in the world and nothing to lose. I mean, they're playing with the
Yep.
fill-in and they're playing for a chance in grand finals.
Hmm.
yeah,
They had nothing to lose.
right.
I mean, other storylines from the weekend. Uh, OpTic bow out to FaZe top 8, Minnesota with a chance to take out Ultra with the fill-in to really gain some points and put themselves in a big spot for that last spot for champs. Minnesota not able to capitalize. They get handled relatively easily by Ultra in a 3-1 fashion. Uh, tough, tough break for Minnesota. Tough break for OpTic as well. Like one of them, like OpTic, with Minnesota bowing out top 8, if OpTic could have made a run to top 6, top 4, they could have really separated themselves and pretty much guaranteed their spot at champs. Minnesota could have really drawn it closer and made it like an even match. Minnesota would have won like one more. It would have been like right there. Like they're still within striking distance, but it's going to take a lot more now. Like they're going to need 3 to 4 wins, OpTic to struggle, and probably a good placement uh, at the tournament. Um, but Minnesota only able to win the search against Ultra. So we'll talk about that race in a little bit. But that was definitely an interesting thing. Like neither Minnesota or OpTic able to really capitalize and separate themselves for champs.
I have a question for you guys.
What's that?
So one of my favorite, like I don't know why, but I keep on getting drawn to like Miami and Rencor and Real and just watching those two guys gun. Like I find myself cheering for them a lot recently, and like they beat Ultra round 1, like that was awesome. I guess my question is like we've seen teams bring in these guys like Neptune, and then obviously like Miami brings in Super instead, and like you see like these. I don't know. I guess the dynamic kind of changes a little bit. They become a lot more successful, especially in those two cases. If Ultra had beans, do you think they would have had the same success or more? Because like obviously Mercules probably didn't have much burn with the team, but like we've seen how these substitutions can like really kind of give you that boost to win.
I feel like that one, I'll get your thoughts on it too, Brock. But I feel like for that one, it's a little bit different. It's like the whole weekend I was watching, and I was like, I've seen this story before. Spartan LAG, like
Yep, I saw that one.
just
Yeah, that's a good
gunning
point.
as a flex player. But I feel like this is a little different because like when you sub in Super, like that's a legitimate like full time roster change. You plan it, you practice with him, like you make that change with like him being on your team long term in mind. With this, like Merc, like he wasn't supposed to be. Like it wasn't like they officially made the decision. Okay, we're dropping Beans. We're putting in him. We're gonna get practice with him. It was like, oh no, Beans visa. Like it's a no go. All of a sudden, like Tuesday, 2 days before the tournament, we gotta like pick up this player. It was like a little bit more of just like a fill in situation, and like
Mhm.
so it takes a lot of the pressure off, and
Yeah.
it's I don't know. It's just a different situation, but I think in terms of like would they have done better or worse, I think they probably would have done like about the same, to be honest. Like I think they would have gotten like a top 3 or top 4
Yeah.
because they've basically done that at every tournament. And I still think they settle in the same spot. I think like they still get beat up by Thieves in Vancouver, regardless of if Beans plays, in my opinion. I still think that those two teams would have ended up in the finals or like in a different weekend if they don't start out with a loss to Surge. Maybe it's FaZe. But I still think like Ultra, like I put them behind like Thieves, FaZe, and Surge right now. So I still think they probably wind up somewhere between third and fourth. Either way, I think they go third or they go out top 4. One of the two.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, they're kinda just playing with house money right there. You can't really
They
judge
might get
players off that, like, such sorts
Uh,
notice, like, substitution,
right.
so
well, and it would have been even crazier. Like on the note, like if they would have, needed these points, like they were already locked into champs. They didn't actually need these points, but it would have been an even crazier run. And like it would have gotten way more interesting, like if they made it to finals or like all of a sudden they somehow like completed that run from losers one and won it. Like it could have gotten a lot more interesting too. Like, would they have considered making a roster change? Because like you could say
yeah.
like, oh no, like they wouldn't make a change. They've been good all year, but like they won an event. Like you at least have to talk about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just brush it off
definitely.
and be like, nope, bring Beans back in. Like, well, we never won an event with Beans, and all of a sudden we put this guy in for one event and we won with him. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. I think now they wouldn't make teams, but even if they made it to the finals and even lost, so would say, they have to have a good conversation about maybe putting Mercules in for Beans,
yeah.
unfortunately.
I mean, and they didn't. It's not like they like looking at their run, like they didn't really like take out any of like the top teams, but like I mean, they took out Ravens, who with Rex, who knows, I guess. They took out Rokkr, who, looks solid in their first match against Ravens. Or sorry, they didn't take out Ravens. They took out LAG, which, bad. Uh, they took out Rokkr, who looked okay in their first match. Took out a Breach team that looked pretty solid. at least against OpTic. They took on a Miami team who looked really good this weekend, and they lost to Vancouver. So like their really big win, I guess, would be Miami.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
overall, they
which
didn't.
they
It's not like
lost
they took
earlier on
out.
the weekend.
Yeah, and they didn't take out Thieves Surge phase. Like they didn't take out any like the top dogs. So like maybe a favorable path, but still like not. Don't want to take anything away from Merc because for a first event, that guy earned himself a CDL spot. That's for sure.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. Playing great all weekend. Sometimes even a lot of times carrying the team in those maps.
Yeah, he was going crazy. I guess there's like a couple more teams I want to like hone in on. We talked a little bit about Rokkr in Minnesota, and we're going to talk about them a lot more in a second. That's why I don't want to spend too much time on them. But like, I mean, Cloud9, I don't really want to touch on them. LAG, Falcons, like those teams are just chalked. Like
Yeah, they're
we've
not
known
making it.
that. Whatever. The phase thing, like it's crazy they bow out top six, but like I don't necessarily have too much to say on the phase front. Like I figured at some point they were going to run out of gas. They lose to a really good Vancouver Surge team who we saw like they had Thieves on the ropes, up 2-0. Could have easily taken out Thieves. Like Surge are one of the three best teams in the game right now, along with Thieves and FaZe. Like there's no doubt about that. Like it's not shocking they lost there, and then they beat Cloud9 and OpTic handily, and then they lost to a red hot Miami Heretics team that was playing well. Uh, Playing well overall this weekend and looks a lot better with Super. So for FaZe, it's like whatever. But the team I want to talk about, Miami. They take out Ultra, maybe, with the fill in. They lose 3-0 to Thieves. They go down, and it's like, if they would have lost a phase, I wouldn't have been that impressed with them this weekend
Yep.
because they beat Ultra in their first match with the fill in where Joe Deceives didn't play well. And they get 3-0'd by Thieves and lose to phase. It's like, okay, you're still the same team that can't beat, anybody. But hey, the substitution of Super Brock, I feel like before you joined, Brad, Brock and I were always talking about how, like, well, you got to make the change. Super for lucky. Even if Super ends up sucking, you're giving yourself a
Mhm.
chance to raise your ceiling because you're never beating Thieves, FaZe, Surge. You're never beating these
With
guys
lucky.
on land with lucky. Like, it's not going to happen.
Right.
And not only, did they end up like getting a top 4 placement and, being right on the brink in a game 5 of making it to top 3, like, Super played really well on the
Yep.
weekend.
He did.
He was very, very, very good on the weekend. Um, What was his overall KD on the weekend? I'm pulling it up here. I want to see this.
It still gets me whenever I see him so far away from from the monitor. It's like, what is this guy doing?
That's how I play, kind of. What was Super at? God, Hydra's disgusting. Super was at a 1.03, and like the impact he has in S&D also is just like he has
Crazy.
transformed their S&D. He has been so good, especially online before he was absurd. But I mean, overall, thoughts on Miami? This, I guess I didn't realize. I feel like I was seeing Super make plays. He had a really bad S&D KD this specific weekend, but I mean, he transformed their team. Obviously, we can see the ceiling for their team is higher. Like taking out FaZe, I just feel like that doesn't happen on land almost ever if they have Lucky on their roster. And in
Mhm.
that series against FaZe, I mean, Super had a 1.2.
Yeah.
I
And they
remember
definitely. You can go, Brad.
I was just thinking about like when they did make the move. We were watching the Scump and Methods, like their whole watch party, and I remember like it was literally like a map 1 or map 2 or whatever, and Rancor was having some struggles or whatever, and Zinni was like, we gotta pay attention to this because maybe Lucky had more of a duo mentality with Rancor, whereas like Real was maybe doing more with, I don't know, or Super was doing more of like things with the other players, whereas like those two more had like the combo. So I don't know. I find it interesting to see is like that change, like in my opinion, propelled Miami to easily. I think they're the 4th best team. Um, but
Yeah,
I think they're better than Toronto. Like I don't know.
I mean, Toronto beat him this weekend with a fill-in
Okay,
when it
and
mattered.
then
Like
true.
I mean,
You
Miami
just
beat
had to
him
throw
in
that part
Merc.
in.
Yeah, Miami beat him with Merc in their first match, but then when it mattered on Sunday with a little more reps, they took out. I don't know. I would still like if you're telling me at who's going to place higher at champs, I'm still taking Toronto over Miami.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think on that, Brock?
Miami. Like you said, love the addition of Super. I really like Miami winning that game 5 on dealership versus FaZe because that's something they haven't done really in the past. So love that. And just gotta go back to the drawing board. Try to be the top teams for the next major and champs.
I'm still. Do you put them at? I mean, like I would assume we don't have to go over our order, but like I would assume all of us have Surge, Thieves, and FaZe as our top 3 in whatever order.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and then I would assume 4 and 5 is Miami and Ultra for everyone in whatever order.
Mm-hmm.
You have who do you have fourth? Brad has Miami. I got Ultra. Who do you have in fourth right now, Brock?
I just think if they played when it matters most, like they did this past weekend, or even champs, I want Ultra more.
I just think Ultra has a little bit more consistent players. Like I don't see anybody on Ultra like Kleenex does have his inconsistent series. Insight can have
Hmm.
his ups and downs. Like any player can have their ups and downs, but I feel like more often than not, like I know what I'm getting out of Toronto, and I feel like Metals can drop a point 0.5 randomly. I just
Yep.
don't think I see it out of
That's
anybody
true.
on Toronto, but it's definitely a debate. Like Miami, I mean, they took them to a Mat 5. They beat them once in the beginning. Like Miami's definitely up there. I'd say they're the fifth best team. They can beat Toronto on every given day.
Mm-hmm.
Last team I want to talk about for the major, Boston. I'm not gonna lie, Brock. We were like the biggest Boston haters, you and I specifically, but like I still feel vindicated in the fact that I don't think Boston was overly impressive this weekend, despite the fact that they got a top six. Like they beat OpTic, and like more evidence we have is just OpTic is terrible.
Yep.
Like OpTic is just terrible right now, and then Boston get beat by Surge, which like there's no shame in getting beat by Surge. They're a better team. They're a good team, and then they get beat by Ultra. Like they're the same team to me still. Like they're a solid team that can beat teams that are like at their level or worse. But whenever they play teams that are better than them, they're like almost never going to pull off that upset. That's just how I feel about this team.
Yep.
Like I don't know.
Uh,
Either of you disagree with that?
No.
no, unless they get like a lucky, like what last major they beat Thieves, like they're all average,
Yeah, and they
they're all
still got top
fighting.
six. They beat
Yeah.
Thieves in winners round one and still just lost. Got for a top six.
Yeah. Just see, they're not going to be the top teams because I just don't think they have enough talent against the top
No.
teams. But they can definitely beat teams lower or just above
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
I
them.
better than
agree.
I underestimated. They're better than OpTic right now, and I underestimated that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
didn't you do not be thinking about that this year,
Yeah,
Mhm.
saying that.
I never thought I'd be saying that. Yeah, that Boston is definitely better than OpTic at this point. But um, unless you have anything, Brad, that'll move us on to our next point. That'll segue us to our next OpTic and Rokkr talking point.
I think I'd be interested in seeing Snoopy and Purge with two new teammates.
I mean, yeah, I've been on that. I've been interested in maybe Snoopy with 3 new teammates. Purge played pretty well like the past few weeks. I mean, like I've always am like pretty negative in my talk on Purge, but like yeah, the past few weeks he like actually at times has looked like pretty damn good. Like the best I
Yeah.
think I can remember seeing him in
Hmm.
quite some time. What did
Yeah.
Purge drop overall in this weekend? What was it?
Um
0.99, which for Purge is like a 1.1, I swear.
Yeah, that's pretty good for Purge.
Because Purge is like credit. This isn't a knock. That's not a knock on Purge when I say that either. Like because he is a player that like he is going to do a lot of the dirty work. Like
Yeah.
he's a good teammate in that aspect where Purge is going to provide a lot of good comms and like he's going to do a lot of that dirty work. He had a 0.95 in search on the weekend. What did he have in hard point? Uh, he had where is Purge? 0.84 in hard point. Still like then this is just strictly at the tournament. His
Hmm.
control must
okay.
have been a lot better. He has been playing better though. I do agree with that. Like Purge, yeah, Purge. There it is. 1.34 in control, third on the weekend behind Envoy and Dashy.
Yeah.
Um, that's where is really dragged up. But like, yeah, I agree. Like maybe you can justify Purge, but it's just unfortunate with like the whole Boston situation.
Yeah.
Their org basically being disbanded. They're just like never gonna make a change, and we're just kind of stuck with this team. And like they're I feel like they're just like a high floor, low ceiling team.
Yeah. That's it. That's kind of like why like I thought Purge. Like I feel like Purge is not a bad like building block, especially for the way their franchise is right now or the state of their franchise right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's unfortunate because like their team is they're the exact team that's gonna go to champs and get like that last top 8 or like win a match and get like a top 6 and bow out, and it's gonna be like wow, you look at their placements across the year, it's just like top 6 across the board besides like the one major one when they got like top 12 or whatever. But like they're gonna be such a forgotten team because they're just a decent team that has such a low ceiling.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, uh let's jump over to the standings page here. So I want to go to the standings here on the CDL website. Let's go over here to regular season, and you look at it here. I mean, from the top, you got Thieves, FaZe, Ultra, Vancouver, Ravens, Miami, and Boston. Like those teams for the sake of this conversation, I don't think like technically Miami and Boston are like really like locked in. I mean, I think we all agree that they are. Like those teams are making champs with the amount of points they're at. But I think
Uh-huh.
mathematically, I don't think they're locked in. I think technically like they could lose every match and like Minnesota and OpTic could get first and second and like could jump and like kick them out or like kick one of them out. But like I think that that's not gonna happen. So for the sake of this, like the 1 through 7 teams you guys see on the screener, if you're audio listeners here, LAT, FaZe, Toronto Ultra, Vancouver, Carolina, Miami, Boston, all those teams for the sake of this, we're saying are going to make champs. We're going to talk about OpTic in Minnesota here. And if you're like, oh, what about Cloud9? They're only 10 points behind Minnesota. Brock, Brad, and I made the executive decision that, if you go look at the schedule here,
They have a tough schedule coming
and
up.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
and
tough.
you select and sort by teams, and you go to Cloud9 here. They, hey, they start out with Vegas, but then they play Ultra, FaZe, Miami, LAT. I don't see a world where Cloud9 comes out of this with more than, if they're lucky, 2 wins, right? Like if they get a lucky win against like Miami, maybe, or
Hmm.
Ultra, like they have to beat Vegas. And then I'm gonna assume they're gonna lose to FaZe and LAT and probably Ultra. Maybe they beat Miami, but even at that point, Miami's definitely the favorite. So like at that point, we're looking at them starting in losers and basically having to, get top 2 to make it. So I'm just gonna say Cloud9's out because if you look at like Minnesota's schedule, I don't know that Minnesota's gonna make it, but their schedule is actually much more doable. So let's start. Let's talk about OpTic. They're 30 points ahead. They certainly have the upper hand, but I got their schedule on the screen, boys, and they've got a decently tough schedule in this split. It's not impossible. Like there's a world where OpTic can win 3, 4 matches out of this. So
Hmm.
they start with Vancouver. I would
Okay.
say that we all would probably say that's going to be an L, like most
Yep.
likely.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Um, they play Boston. I would lean L, but like they can win it. It's not an impossible match,
Yeah, I feel like it's a toss up, honestly.
but definitely not like a shoe-in win.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
They play a Carolina team who has, I mean, it's hard to say they're struggling because we've only see them play LAT basically.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's just fun.
and they lost to Minnesota, but like a winnable match. But again, Carolina is not like a slouch team. Like could definitely beat OpTic.
Yep.
And then this is where OpTic has to get their freebie. They play LAG. They've got to
Come
win
on.
that one.
We're assuming this is a win, but who
Yeah.
knows on any given day?
And then they play Ultra, who I would again, they're a better team. I would assume they lose. So like, if we're talking favorites and non-favorites, like OpTic is potentially looking at a 1-4 split here. I would say optimistically, OpTic goes 2-3, and really optimistically, they go 3-2. I
Yeah.
don't see them. I see them settling somewhere between 1-4 and 3-2 in this split.
Yep.
Anybody feel differently on that?
Mm-mm.
No.
I'd be leaning more towards the 1-4, but
I'm gonna say 2-3. I don't know where it's gonna come. I'm gonna say they're gonna get those middle 3 matches here. Boston, Carolina, LAG. I'm gonna say they're gonna get the LAG one and then maybe beat Boston or Carolina. Maybe one of the two. But
I
I
think
don't
they
think they're
only
beating
beat
Surge
Ultra.
or Ultra. I just don't think they're beating Surge or Ultra. And even if they do, I think they'll find a way to lose to Boston or Carolina. Like I think
Yeah.
I think their max wins in this stage is 3. Would you agree? Their max wins is probably 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then let's go look at Minnesota here, who's 30 points behind. So they have a lot of ground. So like, I guess is our overall, are we okay with settling on saying like OpTic gets like 2 wins as like an average?
Yeah. I would say
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
So that gets them to 165. If we look at Minnesota here,
They have
I
some ground to make
believe,
up.
yeah, they are down 30 points, but they play Falcons. I'm gonna say that's probably a win for Minnesota.
They kind of have, yeah. I would say have to win.
LAG, gonna say that's a win.
Yeah.
Hmm.
They play Ultra. I'll say that's a loss, most likely.
Yeah.
Surge, I'll say that's most likely a loss. And then their other match is Carolina, which is kind of a toss up one. I would say like they could win, could lose, not really sure.
Yeah.
So the way I look at it is like Minnesota is probably 2 to 3 wins, most likely.
Yep.
And their absolute ceiling, maybe 4 if they can somehow beat like Ultra or Vancouver, but I doubt it. So I'd say their ceiling is probably 3. So maybe let's say they get 2 to 3 wins. Let's give them, even just to make it more interesting, let's give them 3 wins. So give OpTic 2, give them 3. Go back to our standings here. And that puts OpTic at 165 and Minnesota at 145. Makes it really, really interesting for
For
that
that
last pick in
major.
there.
Yeah.
Like very, very, very interesting because then you're looking at like how do you earn points down here? You're looking at this, and at the major, if OpTic does go, you know, 1-4 or 2-3, and they're only 10, 20, 30 points ahead of Minnesota, you get dead last, which is the ninth place tying on here. You don't get any points. So OpTic would stay where they are.
Hmm.
All of a sudden, you get a top six placing, which I think they're considering. Yeah, because seventh, it's so weird how they have it listed. They don't say like, oh, top 12, top eight, like we always say. So the seventh place placing for them would be if you win one match in losers and then lose. That'd be seventh/eighth.
Yep.
Okay.
And then fifth/sixth. So you get 30 points. So like in our world where we said that Minnesota would end up at 145, Optics at 165. In that world, if Optic is in losers because of the only having two wins, uh, they would end up with 0 points, stay at 165. All Minnesota would have to do is like with that 3-2 make winners, win one match that guarantees them 30 points, and they would jump Optic for champs.
Hmm.
Right.
So like as
That's nuts.
crazy as crazy as it like sounds like, oh, they're 30 points behind, and like Minnesota is not some amazing team. Like they might go 1-4 in this split,
Whoa,
lose first
whoa,
round, and not
whoa,
even come
whoa,
close.
whoa. Take it
Like,
easy on the boys.
Yeah,
but
it's reality.
yeah, like neither of these teams are that good. It's probably not going to matter because they're both like vying for a date with either LAT or FaZe, where they're probably going to get 3-0'd at
Give me
champs. But
Nero over LAT all day.
yeah, okay. But it's a big deal because I mean we're talking about Optic not
Yeah.
making champs. Like that's a I
How
mean
would the viewing like? Do you think the viewing would take a massive hit?
massive. Yeah, it's terrible for the league.
Hmm.
Wow.
It's really bad for the league if they don't make it. And I'm not gonna lie, am I crazy for saying that like low key, I think Minnesota could have a chance to cause more of an upset just with the current form of this Optic. Like neither of these teams, I don't think if they play 10 matches, I think 9 or 10 of the times like LAT or FaZe are beating them.
Yeah.
But like I don't know why I still think Minnesota has more upset potential than Optic. Like I still think that team has more upset potential.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. I just trust the Minnesota more so Kenny in like the big moments.
Yeah, like I don't know, Optic just can't beat any team that isn't like so bad, and Minnesota hasn't really been able to either. But like they've forced a lot of Mat fives, and like I said, neither of these teams I don't think is making any noise at champs regardless. But I don't know, like it's a disaster for the league if Optic doesn't make it. It's one of the biggest storylines in COD history if they don't make it,
Yep.
Hmm.
and it's honestly probably like we kind of like touched on it, like oh well, like what if they don't make champs, and like the whole time we're kind of all probably thinking like they're gonna figure it out enough to get like a couple top sixes, like maybe a top four, win enough online matches, and like they'll find themselves there. But now we're like legitimately in a reality where like I said, it's not impossible. Like Minnesota goes 3-2, Optic goes 2-3, Optic gets a top 12, Minnesota gets a top six, and Minnesota like that's not an impossible world.
Yeah.
Minnesota going 3-2 and getting a top six, Optic going 2-3 and getting dead last. Like that's not an impossible world. I mean, Optic still is the favorite. They have the 30-point cushion, but it's something to think about.
Yeah. Most definitely.
Um, You guys got anything else on that before we jump into a little fun segment we're gonna do? Actually, we got something to do before we do that.
Um. No, just excited to see what this next major brings.
Man, how electric would that have been if Minnesota and Optic got matched up? That'd have
At
been really
the last tournament,
yeah.
it would have been honestly like maybe it's bias out of me because I want Minnesota to make champs, but like yeah, I think it would have been even way more interesting if Minnesota would have been able to take out Ultra
Yep.
and get that top six because they would have earned right here. You see, like for getting the top eight, they got 15 points, which put them at 115.
Mhm.
Like imagine if Minnesota was able to take them out, and I would assume they probably would have lost, at top six. But like, let's say they didn't. Like, and actually, like when you look at the bracket, like where is it here? Yeah, you look at the bracket here, and like Minnesota, they would have played Boston. Like, there's a realistic world where like if Minnesota was able to take out Ultra, like they could have taken out Boston.
Oh,
Hmm.
100%.
Like that would have been an insane turn of events here because you look like if they would have gotten that, they would have had 30, so they just double their points. They'd be at 130 right now if they got to top six and lost. So it'd be only a 15-point gap. If they would have actually been able to take out Boston and got to fourth, which would have been a realistic possibility if they were able to beat Ultra, they'd be tied right now.
Yep.
So I really wish Minnesota would have gotten top 4 and been able to beat Ultra then beat Boston because it would have been insane for them both to be at 145 tie ball game going into the final split.
Hmm. Man, if Minnesota, does not make it by a couple points, they're really gonna go
Yeah.
back on all those Game 5 losses in the
Oh, I
qualifiers.
mean, turn around even one of them, you're at 125. Just 10
Yep,
points closer. Just one of them. Turn around one of them.
yep. Those close Game 5s, gonna bite you in the butt. Just can't get it done.
Yeah. So I'm gonna pull up our next little segment here. I'm gonna pull that up. But before we jump into that, I guess the quick thing we can talk about, looking at these teams, any roster changes you guys want to see? The obvious one we got to talk about is Merc. We're going to assume Beans is coming back in. So the talk for that, we're going to go, I'll just run through the names. LAT, no change. FaZe, no change. Ultra, no change. Vancouver, no change.
Nope.
First one, Carolina, I guess I think you have to give the team more time. Like we've seen them play
Yeah.
LAT twice. Uh,
Hmm.
kind of an unlucky situation for them.
Yeah.
Um, you guys agree with that? Like, you can maybe talk about like, man, it was a mistake to drop Vivid, but at this point, you've dropped him, and you're sitting here with Rex, and like, it's hard to say like, go back on it now because I mean, like, you barely seen the kid play against anybody besides LAT,
Right.
Yeah.
and they
No,
can't
I'd
beat him
say
no matter
keep
what.
it.
This team can't beat LAT.
Yeah, it's not a fair, look at it for Rex. But if they were to make a change, maybe go get Mercules. But that's just not fair to Rex at
I
all.
mean, I actually I literally just talked about Merc, and I was just so like set on like the team that should pick him up as OpTic, but like, you're not wrong actually. Like, I don't know. Like, I guess that'd be if I'm Mercules, like, if like C9, like, here's the way I think about it for him. If I'm Mercules, if Vegas or LAG offer me, I am betting on myself and saying, hell no,
Yeah.
I'm not going to either of your teams because, like, let's say, I mean, I think the kid is really good, but let's say there's a world where, he does end up like going to those teams and just performs terribly in the last split
Yeah.
and tanks his stock for next year, like what was the benefit? You have no chance at making champs. You're not going to win a tournament with these teams.
Hmm.
Even Cloud9, I'd feel that way about. Like in Minnesota, they're obviously not going to switch out Geo or Kenny, so like he's not going there.
Yeah.
OpTic could switch him out for Skies very easily. Boston, we know they're not making a change. Miami, not making a change. So like it's really Carolina on OpTic would be the only chances he would have.
Yeah.
So, like, I guess if Carolina offers you, that's my number one spot. I probably would go. Well, I guess not, because if you take the OpTic, or if you get the OpTic deal, you probably take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll always take the optic deal.
100%.
So, I mean, we all know OpTic. I mean, that was where I was going to go with it. OpTic has to be looking to pick up Merc. I mean, if I'm LAG, I'm trying to throw him a 2-year contract to lock him in,
Hmm.
but like, or Falcons, like, try to lock him in for Priesta instead of Priesta, so you can get like him and Pred to build around. Like, I'm locking Merc in, but like, I I don't know if I was him, I'm not taking that. If I'm OpTic though, skies see ya. Mercules, get
Yeah.
in here. Let's try it out. See if you can actually continue the performance we saw and be like a building block for the future.
Yeah. Sky. Sorry. Skies is just no bueno. there's,
Oh, I
there's a
like
reason.
it.
There's a reason why he got dropped from LAG, which is a bad team.
Yeah, I would put in Merc there, and also like I mean we heard some pretty good comms from Merc uh
Yep.
this weekend overall. Like I don't know, Brad, do you agree with that? Like OpTic should
Yeah.
be easily hitting him up to replace Skies
Oh,
or
100%. If they really want to win, which is what like all their content says, like we want to win, whatever, blah blah blah. Like Skies should be dropped on his head ASAP for Mercules. Like,
yeah. They said today they're not making a change.
oh yeah, I saw the shottzyy quote.
Yeah, he said they're not making a change, which is, I mean, that could just also be smokescreen. You don't want to,
You
say,
don't want
but
to piss. Yeah, yeah, makes
they
sense.
don't. That's pretty crazy. I would say it's pretty crazy if they're not actually making a change.
Do you think? Okay, obviously, I think Dashy is probably going to be an OpTic for the rest of his life. But do you think he's kind of on thin ice?
I don't think so. I think him and
Not
Shotzzy are pretty much. I think the only way
locked
Dash
in.
would ever be on thin ice is if Shotzzy was like, I need him gone or I'm leaving. Then Hecz would have to make that decision because I think Shotzi's basically OpTic is just a different org. Like
Yeah.
Like when Scump was on the team, you knew Scump was like literally never dropped. It was like a guarantee.
Minor.
Like
Not
Scump
dropping
was
them.
the franchise player and he's never getting dropped. And everybody that joined the team knew that, and everybody that was not on the team knew that. And it was like he's not getting dropped. I think that's just where shottzyy is now. Because like
Okay.
OpTic is a differently run org than every team with the content and everything. And
Mhm.
how like much of superstars they, end up making their players. Like they're not gonna ever drop shottzyy in my opinion. So I think the only way Dashy ever becomes on thin ice is if shottzy's like, I need you to drop him now or I'm leaving. Then I think that's a world where Dashy gets dropped. But
Okay.
I think for the most part, it's basically like Scump and Formal. Like neither of them was ever getting dropped until eventually Scump was like, I'm done with this guy. Like drop him. Like I don't think Dashy's ever getting dropped unless he retires or like shottzyy forces him
Yeah.
out.
They're not gonna leave unless they know Dashy or shottzyy want to leave.
Yeah, that
They
is the
don't
page
on
I'm
the
on.
way. Yep.
All right. So I mean that's really the only one is Merc. Maybe Ravens offer him if they just don't like what they see out of Rex, although it's hard to evaluate. OpTic should be offering him for Skies. The weird thing is, I don't think Carolina's going to make that change because they weren't willing to shell out the money for Kenny. So I doubt they're all of a sudden willing to shell out money for an extra contract now after a few weeks.
Yeah.
And OpTic doesn't make the change. So Ultra's probably not keeping him in. So I think Merc actually just doesn't end up getting on a team. I bet you like LAG offers him, but like I don't. Maybe they don't even because they're just like, why would we offer a contract? We're
Yeah.
not going to make champs.
If I'm Ultra, maybe extend this guy.
Yeah, I'm offering him an extension, but if I'm Merc, I'm not taking it because I want to be able to like pick my team
Yep.
next year. But like I said, if I'm him, if it's not Carolina or OpTic, obviously like if any team that's in champs offers me, like take it. But if it's not Carolina or OpTic, like I'm not taking the offer, and I'm just gonna be like, okay, look at my performance. I dropped a 1.08 at my first LAN. Like,
Yeah.
who wants to pick me
I-
up next year?
Isn't that what they did with Scrappy? Did they extend him during the year when he played that when he filled in?
I think yeah, he signed. I think he signed before though. He like signed as like a substitute for them.
Yeah.
He like signed
Yeah.
a contract, which was an interesting decision, as because he was like one of the top players, and then he never ended up really like playing for them at all.
Yeah.
Besides like that one like fill-in match.
Yep.
All right, so we saw our boys, Jake Maverick, Caesar, OpTic, Texas Burner, the guys over at the Around the CDL podcast. They posted a question in one of their communities today that was like, "Who are your top 5 players in the game?" And we were gonna do something like that, like, oh, okay, like who are each of our top 5 players? But the way we kind of looked at it, we were like, well, we're probably all just gonna like pick roughly the same 5 players, or maybe like swap one player in and out. So instead of just like kind of talking about that for a little bit, we're gonna do like a little mini draft through 3 stages. We're gonna each draft a team. Obviously, you can't have any duplicate players. You guys can see that we got the pool of like the current starters in the league on the screen. So you can't have any duplicate players. Brad's got the first pick. Brock's got the second pick. I have the last pick. It's a snake draft. So for those of you that are, familiar with, fantasy football or whatever, snake draft, Brad will get 1 pick, Brock will get 1, then I'll get 2, Brock will get 1, Brad will get 2 at the end, and so on until, we have our team of 4. So obviously everybody going to be picking, 2 ARs, maybe AR flex, whatever you want to call it, 2 subs. And maybe we'll talk about who we would have in our top 5, but we're giving Brad the first pick. The pressure's on. I get the easy spot, I guess, technically, where I get to, go at the end and just like take the 2 players for what's left. But Brad, you get the first pick to build your team. And this team is strictly for like you're trying to win Major 4 and you're trying to win champs. It has nothing to do with like you don't have to like worry about taking young players to build your team for the future. For those of you like listening, wondering like why we may not have taken a player thinking about the future. This is strictly to win Major 4 and champs this year. You're just trying to win this year.
Yep. I'm assuming we're doing 2 ARs, 2 subs.
Yeah, you're just building the roster.
Okay.
So I mean, I guess if you want to take 4 ARs, you can, but you're probably not winning.
Yeah. Just pick 4 ARs. Pick 4 ARs and pick all AR maps.
Yeah.
Uh,
Brad, you got the first pick.
my immediate mind went right to Simp. I'm not gonna lie, but just the way this guy is playing right now, he's probably, easily, very easily top 3 in the game right now. I'm going Hydra with the number 1 pick.
Yeah, I think that would have been my number 1 pick as well.
That is a good pick, Bradley.
I was thinking Simp, but it was just like, I mean, Hydra's on another planet right now.
I mean, you can't go when it comes to champs. Also, just like with his average placements, you can never go
Yeah.
wrong with Simp. But I mean,
Right.
I would say Hydra's. I don't know. Do you agree, Brock? I would say Hydra's probably the number 1 pick.
Yeah, I would say so.
All right, Brock.
That's on back.
Man, Brad I thought Brad was going a different direction.
What, do you think I was going shottzyy?
No, I was thinking you're going scrap.
Oh,
I'll take scrap. AR.
You don't want scrap? Oh my god.
You could do it. You can do it, Ryan.
That pissed me off. You left me with a decision I didn't want to make. I was just hoping you left me because now it's like I got like the choice of like 3 subs that I wanted.
Yep.
And you left me with only one AR, like one obvious choice at AR. Shoot. All right. I guess I'm gonna go with. I get the 2 picks. I'm gonna go with. I mean, shoot. I guess I'm just gonna start making phase again. Uh, so my thoughts were like, I thought you were gonna just like say screw it, Brock, and take your boy Joe. um, I thought Hydra. I wanted Hydra or Scrap, one of the two, but I guess I'm just gonna go sell and simp. Like
Okay.
that team just besides this last weekend, that team gets first or second at every single event. So just give me Cell and Simp. Screw it. Like Cell's been arguably the best AR this year. Been speeding it up. Can play my flex, or if I like want to get a different AR, Cell could also be the main, kind of like he has been. He can do either. He's really flexible AR. And Simp is just Simp. I'm just gonna go with those two.
All right. Selling simp. I like that.
That,
Man, I
that's
thought
for
you
you,
were.
Brock.
I thought you were going. I definitely thought you were going simp and easy.
I was going to, but I just feel like there's if I don't take like I think scrap and sell, the drop off for ARs is like significant in my opinion. And like I can see multiple subs out there that I really like. Uh I can see like let's see, 1, 2, maybe 3 there.
Yeah.
4. I see like 4 5 maybe 5 subs that I would really like on this team, and like after scrap and sell, I think like who's the next AR you'd pick? Maybe like Ghosty, Draws,
No.
Dashy.
Now I'm thinking
Like
about it more.
I don't know. It's a significant drop off in an AR compared to sub. There are more sub players this year that I feel comfortable. Like, okay, I want him on my team.
Yeah.
So that's why I want to sell.
Okay. Man. All right. I'm gonna go with the obvious choice. Probably is a BT here.
Yeah,
I
but
don't.
if we're just talking this year, like there's been some subs that you could argue are better than a Beezy this year for sure that are on the
Yeah.
board.
Yeah. But I think I'm gonna go with another AR. I'm gonna go Draza. Scrap and Draza on the same team.
Oh my god, you're just
dude.
you're chalking the chem.
Yeah, we're chalking the chem. Maybe they'll figure it out.
I was
How
actually
chalk
thinking
it's
about
gonna
going
work.
Draza.
You are chalking the chem. You're throwing Draza with scrap. Wow, you're kind of thinking the same thing as I am. Like the drop off in ARs is kind of significant.
Yeah.
So I
I
have 2
mean,
picks.
Yeah, you have 2
I,
picks.
I I will say they both want to win really bad, so maybe they'll come together.
That's crazy. You're just ignoring chem.
Yep.
That's funny. I'm not gonna lie, if you would have let Draza by and like Abizi didn't get picked, I probably would just for the memes just taken Atlanta phase and been like, all right, like this team's gotten first
Yep.
2 events this year already. I'll just take Atlanta phase.
They're going for the 4-peat.
Yeah. All right, Brad, you got 2 picks.
I'm
You're the
not gonna
double
lie.
AR second sin.
There's one. Oh, that's a good point. Actually, too.
Trying to make him overthink, Brock.
Yeah, it's working. It's working very, very well.
There's some good. There's some good.
Okay,
ARs
well,
still.
I'm going shottzyy.
Okay, I mean, that's a good sub duo, aggressive sub duo.
Yeah,
Shottzyy Hydra.
yeah, and then
Man,
this is
so
where it
Shottzyy-
gets tough. This is where it gets tough for me because like I have 2 guys in mind. One of them I think is a flex though. I think, pretty sure. Oh boy.
Well,
I mean,
you need 2 ARs.
hey, you need 2
Yeah.
ARs.
All right, give me that. Oh, I was gonna say give me Geo, but give me
No way.
Ghosty. No.
Hey, I was about to say, no way you're taking
Geo.
I'm putting Ghost
give
in there
me.
for you.
Yeah, give me Ghosty.
That's a
I,
lot better pick than Geo.
I
Geo,
was.
like numbers wise, it looks good, but like we need to see Geo actually have an impact on winning before he's really probably in this conversation.
Yep.
That's a good pick though. Ghosty, you got Ghosty, Hydra, Shotzzy. Like that's a good team.
Mm-hmm.
Get some chem there too. Like Ghosty has played with both players, played with shottzyy and played with Hydra.
Is there?
Finals and been in finals with both of them. Brock, that brings us to you. You've got your ARs nailed down. You're looking for a sub duo, and you're gonna piss me off. And you're gonna take the sub I want.
Mm-hmm. Taking Jodeci's, bro.
That's what I didn't want to be easy. I wanted Joe to
I'm taking Jodeci's. Dude, we've been on Jodeci's for the last couple of years. He's just so good.
I think you and I have been on the Joe to train longer than like literally anybody.
Yeah, literally.
Um,
Ever since we saw him, really,
yeah,
we at the Wisconsin Madison event.
the Rokkr like Madison event. Yeah.
Yeah, that was epic. I saw Attach. He's real, guys.
uh, yeah, Jesus. God, I don't know where to go here. I obviously I need one AR, one sub. I really wanted Joe because I didn't really want to take a BZ, but I'm kind of like so when I was saying like the reason I let it slide is because like when I was looking at like the amount of subs, like you guys basically went through and took two of the subs I was looking at. I was like the drop off in AR, I really like because like look, one of you would have taken if I didn't take Cell, obviously he would have been taken, I would assume by Brock.
Yeah,
Would have taken Cell and then Brad would have probably taken Draza then, I'm assuming, instead of Ghosty.
Yep.
So then, like, it would have got back to me, and I would have had Ghosty, and like, I think Ghosty's a really good player, but Cell is a better player than Ghosty. Uh, so now I look at the ARs, and I'm like, the only guys I'm really looking at would be like if I wanted like a maybe like a Rencor for like a flex. Maybe if I wanted like Dashy's an obvious one. Like if I want to go really weird, the slowest ARs ever and take like an insight, like Sib is a good pick. Um, but I guess for subs,
Arcitys.
no. For subs, I was really looking at like it was shottzyy and Joe were the guys I was waiting to come
Yep.
back to me. And then like the other candidates up there would be like a BZ. But I think you all maybe just forgot about one. And I'm not going to take a BZ. I'm taking Mr. Neptune.
Nep's a good shout.
Nep's been because we're only doing for this year, and I know it might be, oh my god, you should just take Simp and Easy, but I don't want to be boring and just take three of.
Yeah.
I don't just want to take the phase trio
Yeah.
because that's no
Nep,
fun.
That's respect,
Um,
actually. I approve.
I
Nep's
don't
some
want to take
good.
the phase trio because it's not fun. But Nep also has been like, I mean, Neptune has been like incredible this year. Like that Vancouver team sucked. He came in and he's made them a top 3 team.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like you can, I mean, you can make a legit argument that Neptune's been better than a BZ this year. Like it's not a crazy argument. It sounds crazy to say,
Yeah.
Yeah, it
but like,
does.
I mean,
But it's true.
Neptune's at a 1.06 this year and has had a crazy impact on his team's winning. BZ's
Mhm.
obviously won multiple events and been unreal. He's at a 1.0, and we know at a 1.0 for a BZ is pretty damn good because the role he plays. But Neptune's been unreal, so I'm taking him. And I guess I'm gonna get weird out. I want to take Sib, but I'm gonna take Dashy. Just
Oh, yeah.
good luck shooting against a Dashy Celium
Mm-hmm.
AR duo. I think my team is disgusting in search.
Yep.
Dashy, Cell, Simp, and Neptune. That team is disgusting in search. So I'm gonna go take Dashy, Cell. I know maybe a little bit of arguments and like they both have kind of been more of a main over the past few years. Dashy really forever, and Cell over the past few years. But they both can speed it up. Like I have no worries about those two challenge and speeding it up. So I'm ending my team, with Dashy and Cell on the ARs, Simp and Neptune on the subs.
I can't believe you did that. I really thought Dashy was coming back around to me because Brock didn't need an AR. So I was like, oh my
I
goodness,
did.
Dashy's coming.
Brad needs an AR still.
I almost took the guy I want to take like literally last round with one of the two picks,
Man,
but I held off. He's still here.
I'm
I
between
feel
two
like
players.
it's one pick for Brock. Personally, I feel like it's one pick for you.
Really?
Maybe you could make an argument for there's a second guy I guess you could make an argument for, but I feel like the pick for you is pretty easy.
I might go weird here.
What do you think?
I'm between two players.
Oh.
You can say it
A
because
BZ hasn't been said, right? Am I
BZ is
tripping?
available.
Well, a BZ is not one of the ones I'm thinking of.
Really? Because I think he's the obvious pick. I think he's the
Yeah,
best sub on the board.
he is the obvious big fight, but for me and this team, I think I want to create. I either am gonna go Envoy or 04. for my
Man,
last sub.
04 be an insane pick to leave a BZ and Envoy on the board. I think Envoy isn't a bad shout, especially just like more a dirty work sub.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go with Envoy for the fact, he's really selfless and and then I have Joe Deceives who just can just slay out and be that guy.
That's crazy. We left a BZ on the board, but I respect that. I kind of almost in a way
Oh,
thought
whoa,
of like
whoa.
this is crazy. You can't take a BZ. You got 2 subs, buddy.
He can play he can play the flex.
That
I've
would
Bro,
be
seen
I've,
it
wild.
done
I've like never
before.
seen that, bro.
That
I've
would be
seen that.
old. If you picked a BZ, that would be the last player on your team that would be put on a flex. Probably put
Yeah.
Hydra on the flex before anything.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's something about a BZ and an AR gets me going.
There's no way. That would be the last player on your team that you put in an AR. But I like that pick, Brock, because like the way I kind of thought about it is Simp just always does it all everywhere. So like I'm just like, Simp will just do it all for me. I don't have to worry about a dirty work player. The guy's, in my opinion, the greatest of all time. So he'll just do whatever. Like,
Yep.
Brad, you need an AR. I'm not letting you pick a BZ. I'm not letting you out that easy just on pure talent, which is
My
crazy that you picked
goodness.
BZ, but I guess it's not that crazy though. Like I would make the argument that Joe, Neptune, Simp, Hydra have all been better than a BZ. I would say a BZ has been better than shottzyy this year for sure.
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie.
Envoy, he's been up and down, but like there's an argument. I would probably take a BZ over him, but I don't know.
Brad needs an AR.
Yeah, I'm between 3 dudes right now.
Who
I'm
you got?
thinking Renkor,
I feel like I did an obvious choice for me.
Beans, and a Booza. And the only reason why I'm thinking of Booza is because that man can like go ballistic. Like he's so talented. It's just like his consistency. I feel like isn't
Really?
there.
I feel like you're missing one guy that should be up on the board for
I
you.
feel like you should take this guy,
What?
who you haven't said yet.
Is it Nasty?
I mean,
No.
I didn't even think of him, but he actually is playing really
He's
well.
been doing good though.
I think Sib. I don't think you have to take him. But I think
Yeah.
Sib should be on your board for sure.
Wait, Sib wasn't taken.
No,
I
no,
thought
no.
Sib was taken.
Sib
Oh,
is a
I have
shooter.
Simp, but not Sib.
yeah, Sib or Renkor though.
Renkor isn't a bad shot either. He's been really good this year.
I'm gonna take Renkor. I'm
I
taking
mean,
Renkor.
that's not a terrible shout. Like he has been good this year.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So like, I mean, obviously, like the top snubs on the board, I would say for sure a BZ, Sib,
Sad Abe.
a BZ, Sib. Who else is out there? That's probably like a snub. It's really those two. I'd say are the top 2.
You could even take Pred if you really wanted to.
Yeah, I'm not taking him this game. No chance.
Not this year,
Yeah.
buddy.
Kleenex. I think like Kleenex and Nasty are like underrated. Like shouts, I would say. Like you can make an argument like Gwyn, if you get him on the right team, might not be the worst shout. Guys like
Real,
Super have been really
too.
good lately, but it's just such a short run that it's kind of hard. Huke has crazy numbers. I just don't. Huke has 1 land win in his career. Like
Yeah.
Watching Estriel can make me tweak sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. That man's
he's really good, but yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Like I also
Hey.
don't. I think it's just crazy that it's funny that we left a BZ off. I went different and just like
Yeah, that
handed
felt
you
bad.
guys a BZ, thinking like one of you would take him, and then I forgot Brad had 2 subs, and then Brock went Envoy instead.
Just a little hint for you guys moving forward. Don't leave Bradley shottzyy.
Yeah, you messed that one up. Joe was ripe for the taking there.
It's okay. Shotzy's been playing out of his gourd. His team just sucks.
Comment down below. These 2 teams, if these 2 teams, or these 3 teams, sorry, are on the board. I was saying 2 because I'm kicking Brad's team out. If these 3 teams are on the board for Major 4 and Champs, who do you guys think has the best average placing?
Bradley.
No chance I'm taking your team.
Bradley.
I would say that.
Wait, why?
I mean, pound for pound, I think that your AR duo is the worst AR duo. And I would say your sub duo is
The best in the game.
It could be better than like Rokkr Eyes for sure, because you have probably the best sub in Hydra, but like it's definitely not head and shoulders above either of our sub duos, in my opinion. Because like I think Hydra could be the best player, but I think like in terms of this season, shottzy's probably the worst sub that was taken. Maybe he's better than Envoy. Like,
Yeah, probably.
shottzy's been fine, but like I would definitely say Simp and Neptune are better in this game than shottzyy. I'd say Joe is certainly better than shottzyy. And I would say Envoys. I would say shottzyy was the worst of the 6 subs taken, which is crazy to say because like in any other year, he's probably better than most of these players.
Yep.
At least better than in most years he's been better than Envoy, Joe, and Neptune, obviously for sure.
Yeah.
But I would say in this specific year, like I would say shottzyy was the worst sub taken. So, and I think Brock has the best AR duo.
They're clash heads, butt heads.
I think I have the
Every
best sub
map.
duo. But I think Brock, if take aside the chemistry, I think Brock is the best overall AR duo because I think I have the best. Brock and I have the two top ARs. I would say you have the best sub in the game in Hydra, but Brock and I have the top two ARs. I think it's just a toss up between Scrap and Cell for who the best AR is, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But enough of that. We're gonna end the pod with quick pickums here. Um, and we'll move over to the pickums here. And then we're gonna do the compare quick. But we're just gonna fly through the pickums for the most
Yep.
part because we've done a lot already and other stuff. So we got a banger to start off the weekend. To start off stage 4, we got FaZe versus Vancouver. I want to see what the fans are thinking. About 58% are thinking that FaZe take this. FaZe versus Surge, like throughout the whole CDL, has always been like a crazy match. Like Surge, for the most part, have always been the underdog, and they've always caused FaZe a lot of troubles.
Mm-hmm.
Um, whether or not they win is a different story. Like obviously, FaZe, I'm sure, leads that dead series, but like Surge always keep it closer than you like think maybe they should. But I think FaZe is gonna get their revenge coming out swinging, and I think they're gonna take out Surge in a game 5.
I had Surge in a game 5.
Yeah, we'll just do that order. We'll do me, Brock, and then Brad. You got Surge in a game 5?
Yep.
Surge in a
Alright.
game 5.
Right.
Surge 3-1.
Wow. 3-1. Okay. I mean, yeah, Surge look a little better lately. I feel like FaZe is gonna get some fixes in practice this week, and I think they're gonna come out with a vengeance.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
close match though, definitely.
yeah, it's definitely a banger, and it's a toss up. Then we got Toronto, Carolina. This is a may not have like super important champs implications, like by any means, but I do think like it's pretty pivotal for Carolina to get some momentum going here. Like
Mm-hmm.
they were a consistent top 6 team, and I still don't hate the change, even if they get worse, because like they were trying to raise their ceiling, which I'll always respect. But they need to get some momentum going here for Major Four and champs to like you have any chance to pull off some upsets here at the end of the year. They got to get some momentum going. I don't think they do here, though. I think Toronto beats them 3-1.
I had the same exact score. Toronto 3-1.
Well, okay. Do you see the percentages for the fan predictions?
Is it crazy? Holy.
Insane. Like, I think Toronto's going to win, but 97% of the fans are picking Toronto. Is kind of crazy. They really hate what they've seen from Rex.
Yeah. You can't take anything from X right now. They've only played.
Right? You've been
Deep.
putting. I feel like you don't have as much faith in Toronto as we do. You think Carolina's going to win?
No.
No.
No, watching Toronto over the weekend, like they're they're pretty good. They're pretty good. Them
You got
boys over there.
them 3, 4, 5.
They're 4.
Okay.
Oh no!
So,
Wait! Whoa! 5, 5, 5, 5.
no. I was saying game 3-0, 3-1, or 3-2. You think it goes? They
Oh,
win
my
3,
bad.
4, 5.
I think Toronto wins 3-1.
Okay, that's what you had as well, Brock. Right? All 3-1s.
Yep. 3-1.
All right. Then we got Cloud9 versus Vegas. Obviously, this one has champs implications in terms of Cloud9. Like they gotta the Cloud9 has got to go like 4-1, 5-0. Like to
Yeah, they
really
gotta
like
win.
cement themselves. I mean, like technically, if they win 3, they get to like 135, and they could be down like 20 or 30
Mm-hmm.
to OpTic, depending on how many OpTic wins. So like Cloud9, if they win like 3, they're going to be definitely like alive if they make a really good run. But that's going to require them probably to make like a run to Sunday. So like they're definitely going to have to win. The first, I would say, to make champs, Cloud9 obviously have to beat Vegas this weekend because that's like their easiest match they have left because they have to play LAT, FaZe, Toronto, and Miami in this split. And I do think they're going to get it done. Vegas has looked really good online. The majority of people are picking Vegas. I think Cloud9 gets it done in a game 5. I think they Neslo them.
Wow!
I like it. I have the same exact score, 3-2. Cloud9 wins it.
Wow! I'm not gonna lie. I was thinking Cloud9 3-0.
You think they're going to 3-0 Vegas?
Arcitys already pulled from the Fountain of Youth once.
I don't know. Vegas, it looks so good online in Hardpoint. Maybe the magic is kind of gone. The honeymoon period kind of gone if they get 3-0'd by OpTic on land, but you never know. with that said, Minnesota is going to beat them starting Saturday, 3-1. I think they're going to take out Vegas. 82% of people on Rokkr. I like it.
Man, I had the same
Yeah,
answer.
Minnesota were like owned by Vegas Legion. Like
Oh yeah, the
up
good
until
old
this,
days.
I see that 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, 3-0
So
before
many
this year, where Minnesota
3-2s.
3 of them.
I'm telling you, them Legion were built different.
I think Vegas is going to win the map 1, and then Minnesota is going to rattle off 3 straight and win 3-1.
Wait, what did you just say?
I think Vegas are going to win the map 1. Minnesota is going to rattle off 3 straight maps
Oh,
and win
okay.
3-1.
I have a 3-1 as well.
Rokkr 3-0.
And Brock, you got Rokkr 3-1.
Yep.
All right. Then we got double points in the next match. It's Boston. It's Carolina. I just know what's going to happen here. I literally can't win because I always pick against Boston. So I'm thinking like, oh, Carolina, this could be where they turn it around. Like, here they go. They turn it around here online, play Boston. But I know if I finally switch it up and take Boston, Carolina's going to 3-0 them.
Don't take Boston.
It's cursed no
Mhm.
matter what. So screw it. I'll take Ravens in a game 5.
Okay.
I'm taking Ravens 3-1.
What?
Boston's so winning.
I'm taking Boston 3-2.
Yeah, they're winning. I know it. I just know it and I know if I switch, I'm gonna like try to trick everyone. I'll say this, and then when I save my predictions, I'll save it as Boston winning, and then like watch they'll lose it. Whatever I do, they're the new like Florida from back in the day or whatever it was. Like whatever I do, Boston's gonna do the opposite. I'll take Carolina 3-2, but that's such a dumb pick because Boston is the better team right now. But I have to keep the gimmick up.
Just feeling like Tej.
Surge is gonna 3-0 OpTic. That's what I have in that
Whoa.
match.
Yeah, 3-0.
3-0.
Sorry, Rick.
I actually have a 3-1 Surge's way. I give OpTic a map.
What map you
That's
think?
awfully sweet of you.
I think they can get a hard point win.
Also, I don't know how close it is, but now that I'm thinking about it, like map count like could technically come into play. What are they looking at? I mean, it could right now. Map win percentage, OpTic is 45.45, and Minnesota's 44.09.
Oh boy.
So like 3-0s and stuff could matter. Like map win percentage could come into play. I don't know if that's the first tiebreaker for if they might go to head to head if it's just a 2-way tie, but like I mean, there's a world where like that comes into play.
Mhm.
Yeah. 100%.
Um,
Wow.
all right. Then last match of the day, Miami versus LAT, a rematch. They played this last weekend. Obviously, it did not go well for Miami at all. I think it doesn't go well again. I got a 3-0 to the side of LAT.
Same here, 3-0.
Oh my goodness, guys.
Are you thinking the same thing?
LAT 3-2.
Ooh, you got Miami pushing them to a game 5.
Yeah.
They could.
And I
Miami
hope
looks
they
good,
beat them.
but- Yeah, that's really I kind of forgot. I guess we kind of skipped over that, but champs implications, I guess, for a lot of champs implications on Saturday. Like Minnesota and OpTic both play. Minnesota, the favorite in their match.
Mhm.
OpTic, the underdog. So like things could get interesting. Obviously, OpTic, if they are able to pull off a win against Surge, would be massive because that's a match that in the race for champs we were expecting them to lose. If Minnesota were to lose, that would obviously be a insanely big blow for them because that's a match they need to win in terms of the champs race. But if it goes the way that we all predicted it, that would be personally that'd be the best result for champs because it would just get 10 points closer. They'd only be down 20, so it would make things more entertaining because it's always fun in the last stage and we can actually have a legitimate race for champs. That's like exciting to watch. Unfortunately, it's only really like 2 teams, but
Yeah.
we'll see. On the flip side, I had Miami losing 3-0 on Saturday. I think first match Sunday, I think Miami's going to 3-0 LAG there.
Same
97%
here.
on the dot on Miami.
Make that a
LAT.
trio.
Yeah.
3-0 Miami.
Cloud9 trying to keep the champs hopes alive against Toronto. I don't think they do it. I think they are also going to get 3-0'd by the likes of the Toronto Ultra.
I gave Cloud9 a map win here. I think they won maybe the search. And with a map, try to stay competitive and try to win the rest for 3-1.
Okay.
I
Brad?
think Toronto 3-1.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because we're at the time of year where it's like we're not going to have too much debate in terms of picks because like we're at the point of the year where we know all these teams pretty well. We know what teams are better, and like not as many
Yeah.
upsets start to happen at this time of year because like the good teams really know how to play the game. They're locked in. They're trying to get everything like ironed out for the last event in champs, and like the teams that aren't making champs are maybe a little less focused, maybe not trying to improve as much. And yeah, it's that time of year.
Yep.
Then we got LAT versus FaZe banger to end out the weekend. I like FaZe overall. I think maybe their prospects for the year could turn around and still end up, looking better than Thieves for the final two events. However, FaZe has just looked a lot more shaky. Even not just at the major where they get top six, and obviously Thieves coming off a win, but like FaZe leading up to the major online looked a lot weaker in hardpoint than we've seen all year. And I think Thieves are going to beat them 3-1 just because I think like I don't know. I just think FaZe are at like a low point right now. They're just like maybe having like a little in-game issues. Got to figure a few things out. And Thieves are clicking, obviously coming off an event win. So I got Thieves taking them out 3-1.
Man, I gave a game 5, and I think Thieves are gonna take it. Oddly
Okay.
enough,
I went the opposite direction. I went FaZe 3-2.
All right. You think they're gonna come out and what like a little post-major win hangover for Thieves?
Yep. Yep. And I just think I don't know. You just like FaZe always figures it out. You know, they
Yeah.
always do without fail.
Yeah, they always do. You're not wrong.
hmm
All right, let's switch over. Let's do the compare to wrap up the episode. I believe, in the first episode there last week with Brad, I think we got every single one right. Did we?
Yep.
Sure. Yep.
I think we went 6 for 6, which I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that's gonna be tough to do because I remember I did this like one time solo and I did not do well. It's not starting. Why isn't it starting? There we go. Which has a higher series KD ratio all time versus a pro team? Karma or Zinni methods? I feel like this is a trick question.
I feel like it is too.
I feel like I feel
Series
like Karma
KD.
could
We
have dropped
gotta
some
go.
absolute numbers in like BO2 or Ghost, but I feel like Zinni like had like one crazy series against a bad team playing an AR role where he had like a triple pos, quadruple positive hardpoint and just it carried. I feel like this is a trick question and I feel like it's Zinni.
For some reason, I think it wants us to trick us to pick Zinni.
Yeah, I feel
Oh
like that is
man,
the trick too. I feel like it's gotta be Demon, right?
You guys
Brad,
can
you can
outvote me.
choose. Brad, you want to choose?
I think Damon, dude.
I don't think so. Yep, I knew it. Zinni
God
by a long shot by 0.85.
damn, 2.95.
Mark it down in the comments. I knew it,
Brock,
chat.
why are you picking that?
Which has a higher SD
2019.
kill list. So who has more donuts all time, Mac or Kremp? I know I've seen at least one Kremp donut. Mac's been playing a lot longer though. I'm gonna say Mac just because he's been playing for a few more years.
All right.
Are you guys
Lock
down
it
for
in.
that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm down.
Let's go 2-1. If we go
Alrighty.
perfect today on the rest of them, I'm gonna be pissed. Which has a
Wow.
higher KD in their worst series all time, Llama or Joe? Brad probably doesn't even know these players.
Who's Llama?
He was
Dude,
actually
he's
not a
pretty.
bad player.
He's not a
He
bad
has
player.
moments. I'm gonna say
In the
I don't know
worst.
because Joe had some real. Joe was literally known for like
Joe Woe?
dropping. No,
No,
Joe.
no.
Whoa. He was known for dropping like 0.9, 0.8s and just being a role player. So I would say Joe. Or I'm sorry, I would say Llama. I think Joe might have had an absolute terrible series.
Joe is just an EU flank. EU Zuma flank.
Yeah. What do you think, Brock? Llama?
Llama was not a bad player. I
Yeah,
think we go.
it's a higher. So who had the worst? Who had a worse KD like all time? That's why I think Joe had like a really bad series. I think it's
Yeah,
Llama.
let's do it.
It wasn't 0.5 to
No.
0.47.
Oh, it's so close.
Which is a higher number of hills, red card, or well, I mean, red card is 5. Seaside had P1 on the side, P2 on like that side building. P3 was
Wasn't it the room barrels?
yeah barrels, and then P4 was that like back statue one. So I think it's red card 5-4. I think right.
I believe so.
Yeah, 5-4. Has a higher S&D KD ratio this season
What?
through Major 2. Tej or Hixie?
I was saying
Age.
This feels like a trick again,
Okay.
does
but I'll go with Tej if you guys want to.
man higher S indication.
It feels like a trick.
But
What? Like I don't know.
yeah, but
Age is
Hixie barely plays, so he could have had a good one.
Through
That's
Major 2,
true.
yeah. What do you think?
I think we go I want to say Hexy for some reason.
It was Teej. They tricked us.
Oh
They made us
my
overthink.
God.
Which has a higher win percentage versus FaZe as of February 2025 all time. London/Carolina or LAG. I mean, I can literally think of like they beat them one time online when FaZe were testing map pools, and they beat them at the major final we were at, Brock and Vanguard.
Yeah.
And London and Carolina, I mean, these are two terrible CDL franchises. Like London and Carolina have not really done much. But for some reason, I want to say London and Carolina maybe beat them more. But I don't know. London and Carolina, like never. There was like the stat where
I was thinking
All
LAG, to be honest.
right, we'll go with Brad. Yep. Barely 31% to 30. We went 3 for 6. We should have got the first one. Come on.
Okay. Yeah, Brock, what the heck are you doing, man?
My fault.
But honestly, not that bad. That can be tough sometimes. They're like also, it's like some of the questions, like I feel like we always get like all the hard point hills and that stuff, but like the series, like worst series all time in like a single match is such a toss up. Like, am I supposed to remember Joe's worst series of all time versus Llama Gods, and Llama's was like 0.3 lower or something? Like, am I really supposed to remember?
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. It's still a fun game though.
Yep.
All right. That's going to do it for this one. You guys enjoyed. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. If you're on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop a 5-star review. We will see you guys again next week. Maybe we'll do like another fun segment like the draft or something, but we'll see you next week with reactions to the matches, predictions, and everything as we wrap up the final stage of the season. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.